Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all having a great session here. I have been enjoying some of the sessions here. Thanks, Prem, for inviting me for this session. So, without much ado, I'm going to get right into the topic. We have a short time. So, let's dive into the topic today. I'm going to share my screen for your. Yes. Right. So, we have how to review your mutual fund portfolio. That's going to be my topic. I think there are two kinds of investors that I know of. People who likely, review their portfolios every month, look at the losses and the gains that they have made. And then there are people who never look at their portfolios. Only when they really need the money, they actually look at their portfolio. Now, you might think that that's a great thing. But empirical evidence, as we have seen thousands of investors over several years now, suggests that people who review their portfolio too often don't really build wealth. People who never touch their portfolio don't know what's going on. I mean, it's okay to buy and hold, but you have to make sure you have the right set of funds, right? So today, I'm just going to give you very simple ways to ensure that you stay invested with the right funds. And it's not really a sin to occasionally weed out your poor performers and stay with the best. So let's dive right in. Let's just understand the need to review your portfolio, right? It's very simple. As long as you're with active set of funds, we are not talking of index funds here. As long as you're actively investing, active funds, there is a need for you to regularly review because there are funds that go out of track over a period of time. We have seen this, for example, pre 2008 and post 2008. We have seen many funds just lose their, performance for some reason or other, and they find it very hard to come back. If you had stayed with many of them, what you end up with is opportunity loss, right? And sometimes also some of the poor performers pick up, and you may never have an opportunity to add them to your portfolio if you did not know that there are better performers out there. So the need, well, most advisors, most people in the market will tell you to buy and hold, but there is a need for you to review your portfolio to ensure you buy and hold the right set of funds, and not just identifying the good and the bad performers. There is also the risk of your portfolio getting too concentrated towards certain styles of investing or certain funds or certain market cap. Now these will come to light only when you review your portfolio. So that's another very strong reason why you need to go about reviewing your portfolio. Now, there are few rules to know, before you start reviewing your portfolio. Remember, reviewing is not switching from one top performing fund to another. I mean, there is no need for you to stay with the chart toppers, and there's a risk of staying with the chart toppers is you will never be able to stay with any fund. You will probably be jumping from one to another. At the same time, there is a need for you to ensure that you don't lose stock of what's happening with your fund. Is my fund on the right track to achieve my goal, right? So the simple, rule here is you need to buy and hold your funds, but there is no need to buy and hold the same set of funds. You can move, and we're going to see why this is needed. I'll just give you a quick example before moving on to the actual process. There are funds that have, over certain buckets of time. 5 year is a recent bucket, which were in the top quartile. Like I'm just giving you examples here. It's nothing to do with, any recommendation. Look at the top funds for 5 year period ending August 2012. This was 8 years ago. And look at the, the same funds underperforming their indices significantly. And at least 1 in 3 funds move from, the first quartile or the second quartile to the bottom quartile, right? So that essentially means that your funds could well be losers over a period of time, right? So that's a very important thing for you to know, that you could be holding funds that over a period of time, not probably in a year or two, but over a period of time start underperforming. And this is true of any actively managed fund. And there are things that you need to understand when I speak of underperformance, right? When markets fall, for example, I'm just taking this example of a fund which has just delivered 2.14% in the last 2 years. Right? That's not a great return, XARR. Many people would say this is a bad performer without looking at the benchmark returns, right? fact is that the markets have underperformed. So when markets underperform, your funds underperform too. So the simple lesson is, please do not look at standalone returns of your funds. That will not tell you whether a fund is an underperformer or the market is underperforming. Please look at the fund in relation to its benchmark or peers. The other important thing is, many of you may miss the fact that for no fault of your fund, it may be underperforming because its style is simply not in favor in the market. A classic example in the past few years is value funds. I've given here a chart that you will see. Value funds have started underperforming the Nifty TRI, the Nifty 500 TRI, somewhere around 2018, and for almost 2 years now, they have been underperforming, right? What really went wrong? Value as a style was not performing well, right? Because you had a polarized market running behind quality with a few set of stocks. And therefore, many of the stocks that fund managers found value in simply would not perform. Now, your fund would be one of those. So it's not that your fund is underperforming, the style is underperforming. So the call is about whether you want to exit a strategy or not, and nothing to do with the fund. Here again, you should be looking at your fund in relation to peers, right? Because the benchmark stated here, for example, the Nifty 500 or the Nifty 50, many of them have, may not really be the right benchmark. So the question is, if you like value as a style, or if you like focused as a style, you want to keep that, and whether is that as a whole underperforming the market. So how long do you hold them is the question. So it's not really about your fund. So this is not a reason for you to immediately churn your fund. So these are two things that you need to keep in mind as a rule, that you don't really sell your fund because standalone it is underperforming. The market might be underperforming. The first thing you do is check your fund with the benchmark, with a similar peer, right? And the second thing that you do is whether your style is underperforming. There may be times when large caps are outperforming and mid caps are not. So it's not your fund's fault. It's just that as a whole, mid caps may be undergoing some pain, right? So let's get into the review process now. So the thing is, like I said, you need to measure against benchmark. Now, how long and how much of underperformance should you bear, right? In our experience with funds, a steady underperformance of about 3 to 6 percentage points over a year, a little over a year and a half, anywhere between 3 to 6 quarters of steady underperformance with benchmark is something that you should be concerned about, right? Half a percentage point, 1 percentage point underperformance is acceptable. I mean, not all funds can always be at the top, right? So some stocks calls won't go right. You may be underperforming, but you need to keep this in mind. Steady underperformance means this fund will start pulling down the returns in your portfolio. This can be for various reasons. So if you can, you should either question the person who's helping you with why this fund is underperforming, or if you're a do-it-yourself investor, try and understand. Maybe the top stocks didn't work. Maybe a fund had held a particular, pharma stock that was not performing for too long, or a PSU stock that wasn't performing, and so on. So whether the fund is taking corrective action, as it reduced its proportion in the stock, is it doing something to change the performance, is the question here. Similarly, like I gave you a chart earlier, value underperformance, right? So if value is underperforming, value typically needs very long time. The value needs a holding of anywhere between 5 and 7 years for you to say that, so if you are not a person who can take that kind of prolonged pain, then probably value is not for you. So it's not about the fund, but you probably haven't chosen the right strategy for your own self, right? And then there may be other reasons, AMC change, mergers, fund manager changes, and so on. So first you need to understand why your fund is underperforming. That's a very key thing. And if somebody is advising you, you ought to place this question on why your fund is underperforming. It's not simply about, moving to the next fund. Sometimes it may be for no reason at all. Like I said, it's just that the market is not doing well, the fund may not be. Now, what to do now? If you hold funds, and you have reviewed and you find your fund quality to be satisfactory, it has been outperforming or almost in line with peers, etc., hold them, good for you. Bad funds, the first thing that you do if you have, SIPs and you see your fund underperforming in the way that I just said, first stop SIPs. Do not rush into exiting your funds, because you could be incurring load, you could be incurring taxes, especially when you're running SIPs. You do know that you may not have even completed a year sometimes with the SIPs, because you're running them continuously. A part of your SIPs wouldn't have completed a year. So hold on to them, but stop them, right? And look at the strategy that you've invested in. Like focused, for instance, may sometimes be sharp in its falls, but may also bounce back faster. So if the fund is otherwise has a good track record and due to market gyrations, it has fallen sharply, give it time, right? Similarly, value. If you think, you have a long time frame, you probably should be giving time for value and not just exit because this is a period when value is underperforming. And so continue to hold those, but move your SIPs to other quality funds in your portfolio. So do not stop your SIPs and just hold on. Please make sure your investment activity continues. If you had been investing 10,000 SIPs, make sure those 10,000, continues to happen either through the existing good funds in your portfolio or funds that you may have to add if you have very few funds. Right? But the question is, if you go on doing this, you stop SIPs or you just hold funds to see if they will bounce back. How many funds are you going to hold, right? So this is where the challenge for most investors come. So when should I sell then? I mean, I'm holding a fund for so long. When am I going to sell the fund, right? There are times when you can do this. For example, while you do regular review, remember this review can be done in a yearly basis. You don't have to necessarily be doing every month, every quarter. You have how your advice yearly work. So when you do that, you will also be doing something called rebalancing, right? You look at your asset allocation, your equity, your debt, whether your equity has swelled or it has fallen. So when you do this rebalancing, that is, you're bringing back your allocation to your original level. That's also a good time to sell some of the underperformers. So you've been holding a fund, you've stopped SIPs, but you want to rebalance now. You could sell the underperformers when your equity has swelled. What do I mean by swelled? Supposing a 60-40 portfolio has gone to 65-35 or a 70-30 in equity. That means your proportion, your equity has gone out of sync with your original allocation. You bring it back. When you bring it back, first make use of the underperformers to exit. Please don't use the good performers to do profit booking. That's not a good idea because this is not a stock. It's not like your mutual fund has gone expensive. Your mutual funds never get expensive because the fund manager is making sure that he or she is, selling the stocks and finding newer opportunities. So don't worry about that. Exit the underperformers. And when you need, another reason when you can sell these poor performers, when you need money, suddenly you need some funds, you might want to look at the poor performers first and take out money from them. Also, when you do this review, sometimes you may realize you're too many funds, 20 funds, 30 funds, and you might want to consolidate. When you do that, these funds where you thought you will give them enough time to see are the ones that need to go, right? Also, this is a good time to also do these changes when you have too much duplication with funds or strategy. For example, you realize that you have similar styled funds, too many similar styled funds. For example, you might be holding 3 or 4 mid caps, which you may not need. You may not need more than 1 or 2, or you may realize you have funds that all have value or all have growth style, and some of them are underperforming. So you might want to reduce some of the styles so that you also give diversification to styles. Use these underperformers to reduce, right? So just to recap, when you're doing your rebalancing or when you need money at any point, or you have too many funds, or you think there is, when you're doing the review, you realize you have too many value, too many focused funds, too many mid-cap funds. These are the times you use to reduce the underperformers first, thereby reallocating your investments, right? So that's the only thing that you need to do in terms of weeding out funds. First thing is stop your SIPs if they are running, give them some time. And if you continue to see underperformance, it might be 3 quarters, 4 quarters, it does not matter. There's no harm in holding something as long as you're not investing additionally and causing opportunity loss. Please remember, this holding something does not occur if it is debt and you have seen some credit risk, right? The moment you sense some credit risk in debt funds, there is no question of waiting for some more time for the fund to improve, etc. The moment you are alerted to it, please exit it. Here, your taxes, your exit load should be of less importance. It's about your capital, because in debt, you're not there to make great returns, right? That's one distinguishing factor that you need to keep in mind between equity and debt. Once you spot risk, you exit debt. In equity, there's no question of risk per se, is just that the fund strategy or performance or the fund manager style doesn't work for you. Very, very rarely do you have a risk scenario appearing, in an equity fund like the way it does in a debt fund. Now, there are 3 dimensions to selling your fund basically. you will have to pay exit load, you will have taxes, and you also need to take into account the exposure this fund has in your portfolio, right? Supposing a fund has 40-50% exposure in your portfolio, it is concentration. Don't wait too long, hold it for some more time to see if it performs, etc. Per se, you have already incurred concentration risks, sir. So your job would be to first reduce it. So bring it down to, a more manageable level, a more less concentrated level of say 10-15% or so. Here, don't focus on tax and exit load, focus on the risk that you may have due to concentration, right? So I'm giving you a very simple, kind of a way to, how to deal with this. Over 1 year and no SIP, and you can, kind of exit with no exit load and reduce your tax in equity funds. With debt funds, if you cross 3 years, great, you will get indexation benefit. But like I said, please remember, where there is a credit risk involved, where you've been alerted of a credit risk, please do not wait for this event. In equity, if your fund is less than 1 year with SIP, you can wait until all the units cross 1 year so that you don't incur too much by way of taxes. At least reduce to 10%. If this fund has high concentration in your portfolio, or there is even an iota of credit risk, do not wait for 3 years. Otherwise, it's okay. If, for example, you hold, a short-term fund, which has generally been a very average performer, but nothing wrong with the fund per se, you can continue to hold it and probably consider selling it after 3 years if your portfolio already has better short duration funds, right? So these are some of the tips that I'm giving you. Exposure to fund is very high. Sell them in phases or use STPs to move into new fund instead of incurring huge taxes on one time. If your exposure is very low, when I say very low, it's less than 10% or it's 5% of your portfolio, please exit. It doesn't matter. The taxes or the exit load should not matter too much if you look at it as a whole. Tax planning, if you have sold anything in losses, you have anything else to set off, please use those opportunities and try and reduce your exposure. So with all this portfolio review and with portfolio rebalancing, remember equity debt to the original level planned, right? It's not about timing the market. It's simply about looking at your own portfolio, whether your equity has swelled or your debt or gold has swelled, and bringing it back to your original. This is also another simple way to ensure your portfolio is healthy, and in that process you review your funds. In other words, you make sure while you reallocate your assets, you ensure that you are staying with the right funds. So both of these go hand in hand, typically done over an annual exercise should do, or a half yearly exercise. If you do any of this, you can stay safe in terms of maintaining a healthy portfolio. I've discussed a lot more about rebalancing in an article here. You might want to go check it out later. But these are the only two things after selecting quality funds that you need to be doing if you're with active funds, right? So try this out, and I'm sure you'll benefit from this.
Yeah, hi, Vidya. That was very, very enlightening. I really enjoyed it. There were two clarifications I wanted from you. One is, at what periodicity would you recommend a review of your portfolio?
Right. So the minimum time frame is 1 year, right? You do not need anything less than a year usually, but if you have the time and you have a large portfolio to maintain, a half yearly check is also good. So you can just make sure. A half yearly will basically tell you if your fund is slipping, right? So it will give you a better kind of an early alert system. You don't have to act, but you can at least check.
Oh, wonderful. The second question is actually linked to the answer of your first question, which is, how many funds should you hold in your portfolio?
Right. So,
and linked to this, should the number of funds increase with the size of the portfolio?
Yeah, good question. Many people have this, so we have in detail written about it. But to summarize the whole thing, Definitely, like Prem said, the size of your investment will have a say in the number of funds. Although it's very easy for us to say, have 4 funds, have 3 funds, and your job is done. That's hard if you are an investor who's with active funds looking for different styles. So, style diversification and concentration risk in debt funds, especially after what has happened in the past 6-7 months, you will know that there is, even at the cost of duplication, you need to diversify in debt funds, right? So if you take that
Correct.
into account, if you are, if you have a large sized portfolio of, say, 25 lakhs or more, you can consider anywhere up to, the optimal size to us, anywhere up to 8 to 12 funds. We try to do this exercise. And usually over 10 funds, you are not really achieving any diversification and your returns actually diminish over a period of time, with too many funds. So 8 to 12 for a large portfolio, and about, 4 to 6 maximum for, a portfolio where you have few lakhs should be the ideal, size. Again, no one size fits all. It's up to you. The idea is to optimally manage your portfolio, avoid style duplication, at the same time ensure there is no concentration, especially in debt funds. So these are the 3 points you keep in mind when you choose the number of funds.
Fantastic, Vidya. Really, really happy to have you here today. I'm sure I've learned a lot of things, and I'm sure the entire audience too has learned a lot. Thank you for being with us. Kavya, can I hand it over to you now?
Thank you, Prem.